Oh, gotcha. I was genuinely surprised at how many people have no idea that the MSI Summit A16 is a full-out 2-in-1 laptop, and I guess it kind of makes sense given how niche of a product this really is and how catered its audience are, but nonetheless, this machine is darn serious, and in today's review, I really want to show you guys what the MSI Summit A16 is all about. The configuration we have here is rocking AMD's Ryzen AI9 processor. We've also got 32 gigabytes of LPDDR5X memory, a nice large 1TB solid-state drive. We have AMD's Radeon 880M mobile integrated graphics, Wi-Fi 7 and Bluetooth 5.4 standards, and this is a nice large 16-inch Quad HD Plus IPS display. Now, as you can tell, these are some pretty serious specifications, and this laptop is essentially a high-end productivity machine with 2-in-1 functionality, so its job is pretty cut out, and our job here is to make sure we test it to the very bone and see what it's all about to give you guys an honest idea of whether or not this is worth your hard-earned cash. So let's get into it. Let's take a moment to look at the packaging here. So we do have a fancy looking box befitting of the price tag this thing demands of you. Open it up, and inside, behind some more protective packaging, of course, the A16 itself. More on that in a minute. We also get a nice petite 100-watt charging adapter here with a Type-C output. Furthermore, we do have a dedicated wall-mounted charging cable piece, which is good news for extendability. And then you'll notice you do get the MSI Pen 2, which is basically MSI stylus for this laptop, included, of course. And finally, some basic documentation. Some quick observations about the design language of this machine. So firstly, it does have a metallic exterior from top to bottom, which gives it a premium feel. On the same note, I do want to mention that you have this ink black color, which I'm not a fan of. It's got this matte texture all around it, which almost makes it feel cheap, even though it's not, to be fair. Now, with that said, though, that's more of a nitpicky thing. You'll also notice the laptop is actually relatively thin for a 16-inch device, but it's also protruding outwards a lot, which makes it look way more chunky than it actually is. A weird design choice on MSI's part, in my honest opinion. Now, with that said, the laptop does have an overall weight of approximately 4.6 pounds, putting it right about the typical average 16-inch laptop weight factor. Also, starting with the top side, again, like I said, you have a metallic exterior here, which feels nice to the touch, though it is an absolute fingerprint magnet, so OCD people, be aware. On the bottom side, again, a metallic finishing for a premium feel. You'll also notice you have this nice large air intake vent on the bottom here for the dual fan setup, nice to see. And then you have two cutouts for a speaker grill on either corner at the bottom. You'll find all the relevant I/O ports on either side. So on one side, you have two fully loaded USB 4 Type-C ports with both DisplayPort and Power Delivery 3.0 functionality. On the other side, you have a HDMI 2.1 port, a USB-A super speed port, and then for whatever reason, a micro SD card reader. You also have a headphone jack. See, this is the thing that baffles me. This is a 16-inch laptop. This could have easily been a full-size SD card reader, which would have given users greater compatibility, and this is just one of those illogical decisions that manufacturers occasionally make. I really hope MSI sees this video and opts to include a full-size SD card reader in a future model. Unfolding this laptop presents you with a generous amount of palm rest space, which is fair for a 16-inch device. You'll also notice you do have a built-in fingerprint sensor within the palm rest area over here. And then at the center, you have a nice large glass surface trackpad over here, which doesn't have any notable flex thanks to the glass surface. And also, I appreciate just how tactile it is while also keeping a touch of softness to it, making it one of the better trackpads I've reviewed this year. The keyboard is an equally impressive piece of work. You have nice large keycaps that are closely color coordinated with the rest of the body. The font for the most part is easy to read. You have a fully backlit keyboard as well, and you get the inclusion of a 10-key number pad. But the best part about this keyboard is just how nice it is to type on. While it's not as good as the likes of what Dell offers in their XPS, you have a decent amount of key travel, good tactility, and a little bit of bounce back, which actually makes typing pretty fun on this keyboard. Right past the keyboard, we have a 2-tier hinge mechanism, and it's actually pretty sturdy, and it's important that it be sturdy because this is a 360-degree folding laptop, so it's going to go through a lot of wear and tear. Now, the display fitting is fully glass encased, which is nice to see, but you have an obnoxiously fat chin at the bottom here for no good reason, which really does take away from the immersion. Thankfully, on the sides you do have narrow bezels, which again look nice and immersive, and then at the top you do have a moderately thin forehead, which is nice, but then for whatever reason you have a criminally underrated 1080p webcam, which should have been spec'd a lot higher. The result is that it just doesn't look all that clear when you're looking at it in a photo or video. MSI has done a great job with the display here, so you get a nice large 16-inch IPS panel with a Quad HD Plus resolution and a 16:10 aspect ratio. Furthermore, you have a snappy fast 165Hz refresh rate, a maximum brightness of up to 500 nits. Furthermore, you have full touch captivity, and of course you do have optimized support for the included stylus, the MSI Pen 2, which also has Windows MPP 2.6 support, meaning you get haptic feedback when you're actually using the pen, making for a great experience with this tool if you have the right use case. Furthermore, you have a color rating of 100% DCI-P3 and 100% sRGB, making colors look lively, vivid, and great for color sensitive activities in general. A quick rundown of the technical specifications on board. So we do have AMD's Ryzen AI9 365 processor. We get 32 gigabytes of LPDDR5X memory, and we have AMD's Radeon 880M integrated graphics. We put this laptop through its various tests for performance, and for the most part it did a great job. So day-to-day activities like surfing the web, crunching documents, again a breeze for this machine. You'll also be happy to know code compilation and programming in general, again a very fluid experience. You can even do 3D modeling on programs like Blender, for example, and for the most part it's a lag-free experience. It's not until you add a lot of elements that you start seeing some degree of, lag or choppy experience, and that makes sense given you don't have a discrete GPU here. Furthermore, you can even do multi-layer 4K video editing, and impressively enough, we found that despite having multiple stacked layers of 10-bit footage, we rarely had any frame drops in real-time playback, which is very impressive. Render times were fast enough as well and seemed to be pretty productive. Now, gaming performance on here is great, but not as awesome as I expected compared to other Ryzen AI9 devices. I mean, games like Fortnite running on medium to high settings at 60 plus FPS, though I will admit some devices have been running on high settings with a similar frame rate, might be an optimization issue. Thermals are interesting. So I mean, on one side, under a unrealistic peak load, you can hit a maximum surface temperature just shy of 42 degrees Celsius with a more realistic sustained load around 38 degrees Celsius, which really isn't all that bad. Now, as far as the location of the actual heat exhaust vent goes, that's where my problem is. I mean, it's right beneath the display, and that's a pretty questionable decision as it can cause the display to overheat and have long-term implications. Now, as far as fan noise is concerned, that's pretty nice. This is a very quiet device for the most part, though when you really push it, you can expect fan noise levels of around 50 decibels, which is expected. Also, I want to mention quickly that self-upgradability is very limited. The only component you can upgrade is the existing M.2 slot with another 2280 drive. We get a nice large 82 watt hour battery here, which in my opinion is pretty crucial because realistically you can expect a runtime just north of 10 hours on this device, though MSI claims a maximum runtime of up to 14 hours. Now, as far as the sound quality is concerned, it's decent enough. You have a little bit of depth, you get a good amount of volume. Here's a quick sound test for reference.
Strong, focused on the now. Glass half full, or has it been emptied out? Well, that's all up to you and your mind. Do you doubt anything, everything, not a thing? Make my thoughts work for me, manifest what I need, what I want, what I see.
The MSI A16 AI Plus has a $1,600 US price tag, and that is quite a lot to ask. In return, MSI offers you a high quality aluminum build. You also have a high quality display with some fantastic specs and some top tier hardware to make sure you get the most performance possible. And in those regards, this laptop definitely delivers. And of course, you also get full 2-in-1 functionality with a 360 display and an included stylus. Where this laptop fails in some regard is the awkward choices that MSI has made along the way. For example, including a micro SD card reader instead of a full-size one on a 16-inch device is just a logical choice. Also, I don't like the fact that the heat exhaust vent is right beneath the display. This can have serious long-term implications, something that I'm certain most engineer teams are well aware of. And then, of course, other things to keep in mind is the shorter than average battery life of this machine, which again makes sense with the top tier hardware, but all these things are something to consider. Overall, I still think this is a pretty nice laptop, though if it goes on sale, its value is definitely more earned in my opinion, which it frequently does, by the way. I believe at the time of this video, it's like $200 off at Best Buy US, so make sure you always look out for a good deal. Let me know what you think of this laptop. If you already have it, I'd love to hear your thoughts as well. As always, thank you so much for watching. Catch you in the next one.